Hello and welcome to another edition of the 13th Fleet After Action Report. Glad to have you with us here. As always, the show is brought to you by Admiral Tater's Ship Shop. If you are looking for the very best in Armada accessories, this is the place to go. I promise you, you will be very, very satisfied with whatever you pick up there. You may have already seen some of his work, given that a lot of it is used as prize support for tournaments. So if you're looking to upgrade the tools with which you play the game, this is the place to go. And we also have Admiral Tater to thank for the prize support that we are giving out. We are currently in the process of trying to get a new name for the Thursday Night Armada show because, well, let's be honest, whenever we get the show onto YouTube, it doesn't always end up on Thursday night. So we kind of wanted to give it a more open title here. And we're giving you the chance to name the show. But not only will you get to name the show, you will also win this nice set of measuring tools in its own custom tray. It is a 13th Fleet custom tray, so it's really nice stuff. I want to thank Admiral Tater's Ship Shop for putting that together for us. And we are really, really anxious. If you want to know more about that contest, go ahead and join the Discord. That will give you where you can go to enter and give you details on how that works out. So what else have we got going on this week? Well, hopefully we will have some video from the tournament in Tip City, Ohio at Thunder Forge Gaming. We will also definitely have Thursday Night Armada, so we're really looking forward to that. I can talk today, I promise you. But so that I am not talking quite so much, let's go ahead and bring the team on here. We have Garrett. Just a second. Let's try that again. We've got Garrett. I am not hearing Garrett. Let's see if we've got Reuben.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yep, we got Reuben. Do we have Nick?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, now let's see if we now have Garrett.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you now. All right. That wasn't my fault this time. So today we were originally going to talk about the generic officer slot, but unfortunately I've been a slacker and did not get the graphics ready for that. So I had to go with a little bit of a quicker build. And so we're going to be talking about the ships of the Grand Army of the Republic. But before that, we kind of wanted to touch base on what we had been doing this past week. And I kind of wanted to start off with, we had on the stream this time around a very interesting fleet. It was an Imperial fleet, but the miniatures were custom from the Zann Consortium. Is that correct?
Yeah, Zann Consortium from the old Empire War Forces of Corruption, RTS.
Really beautiful looking ships.
Yeah, Joel Sploder, our guy local here, he's got like a Keldabi Mandalorian battleship, and then the Aggressor, which he uses as the Onager because it's got like the shot that comes out of the front like the Onager. And then he's got some of the smaller ships like a Interceptor 4, which some people might remember. That's a Talon Card ship from the old EU. And then I can't remember what he was using for his Raider. Yeah, I think it's called a Crusader.
Dante is Talon Card ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like an Interceptor 4 or whatever. So yeah, it's really cool. He's also got like Star Vipers and stuff as his squadrons. This is like a really cool way to play Armada, especially now that like there's so many people selling cardboard on Etsy, like Exclamation Studios. You can just, stands, I think, are the easiest thing to get in Armada because you can buy somebody's used collection of whatever. Because all you need is a small, medium, or large stand. And then you can get cardboard, and then you can order whatever ship you want off the internet at this point.
Yeah.
So,
and if anybody's trying to collect that is getting into the game now, you need probably 4 small bases, 2 mediums, and like 2 larges. So as long as you get that in whatever collection you buy, you can get all your other components printed or off Etsy and stuff. So
In
once you
fact,
have
there
that,
are
pretty
some
much
places
cover.
I think there are some places that if you've got your own 3D printer, you can actually buy the templates and print them yourselves.
Yeah, STLs. Yeah, so it's like a really fun time for proxies. So there's so many people making them. There's so many options and like price variations. So it's actually really cool.
Now,
And it only took the community like 6 months to like ramp up a
Get
full
everything up.
production like
Mhm.
system. Like you can get every component you want and like pennies on the dollar of what it would cost, to manufacture.
Hmm.
So Armada's like, I don't know, this game like can't kill it as hard as they try. They've like beheaded it, chopped its legs off, chopped its arms off, and like
Yeah,
communities
for
like built
real.
cyborg parts for it and like kept putting it back together.
Well,
It's
talking
like
to
Darth Vader.
Joel, I know he built his fleet more around the ships rather than a unified build theory. So how did that play out when you played against him, Garrett?
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, it's an onager fleet, right? Um, he ran Screed, which I think is cool. Screed has his ability to rate the crits, right? And so he had like a ton of crits, uh, mechanics, XX9s. He ran Blue Beam on the Star Destroyer, which is another crit, and then he had a bunch of crit plans for his Venator, but it never got over to me. He got to use his NK7s on his Raider, which I was excited for him. He got to strip one of the defense tokens off my Providence at like round 1 or round 2 or whatever. Um, so that was pretty neat. Uh, but essentially, the plan is line up your shot and then shoot me twice. I deployed like a coward, if you want to call it like that, in the corner of the board to make sure that like he couldn't shoot me with his Venator. Imperial Venators are close range ships, and so I was like, well, if I can just make it so he can't shoot at me, it doesn't matter. Um, so I just flew into his onager, and the plan was I was gonna kill his onager and run, but it, like didn't turn out that way. So I took off his 2 little ships and a squad ball, farmed a bunch of close range intel points, and then flew off into the sunset. He was really close to killing me. I think I had like 2 hull left. Because the onager, even with like thermals and early warning systems, like has a lot of damage potential. Uh, so it's just is, but yeah, I got away. I got away. It was a fun game though. It's hard to also fight somebody's CIS like 10 squad ball with 2 squads. Uh, it's basically his ship's like just wait to die. His squadrons just wait to die while I come over there. Um, but yeah, no, super fun fleet. Uh, once he gets himself tuned in on deployment and maneuvering, his support ship with his onager, those fleets are really dangerous. So I look forward to watching his evolution as a player.
Well, speaking of deployment, I had a great deal of help with a partial game that Reuben and I played on Thursday. He was educating me.
Yeah, it's mostly training.
But I think I'm feeling a lot better about my fleet. I think anybody who watched the video of Thursday Night Armada, not this last one, but the one prior to that, where I was up against Aaron, you may have noticed me getting a little bit snippy, and I'll be honest, I was having a bad day anyway, and the game was not going terribly well for me, so I'm not proud of the way that I behaved. But on the other hand, I feel like I had some improvement working with Reuben. And Reuben, you were trying out a new build, weren't you?
Yeah. So we've got Medine on the MC-75 armored, melee ballistics, flight controllers, expanded ECM, dual turbo laser turrets, and then Flotilla Comsnet, Torn Far, Bright Hope, Flotilla 8 Artalion boosted, CR90, turbo laser reroute circuits, Hera, Biggs, Ketsu Onyo, Gold Squadron, Skurg, 3 X-Wings, 398, something like that, 399, 3 double die bombers, rest of the squad ball bombs. You've got Dice Edition, 2 rerolls if you can get your Torrent Bar and your Hera Bubble to go off on all your escorted X-Wings. So it has the potential to really push and win a squad fight like Imperials and CIS can do. It's slower, and it's not like the pure tanky Biggs ball because it doesn't have Januaries in it. So it's not going to stay as long, but it'll actually do damage. It's a much more offensive orientation of this fleet. I hated Capture the VIP. Taking that right out, putting it in. I hate being like, you can't play the 75 and them know where the 75 is when it's Medivh, especially when they have the bottom drop, because then their large goes in a position where it's going to shoot you and you can't really get to it. I guess really the thing to talk about isn't how that game went, but more of the concepts I talked about to Chris. And the biggest concept when you're deploying your ships is the focus of your fleet's intent. And the first ship you ever put down is going to focus your fleet's intent around distance 5 left or right of that ship. Because you always want to have supporting fire. You can have supporting fire as long as you have 2 ships within distance 5 of each other, because they can move and get guns on something. And you're always going to put your squads within distance 2 of your first drop. So everything is very centered around that. So a lot of what I see, the 2 most common mistakes I see out of new players and people that are know the rules decently well enough to play, but aren't at the point where they're trying to actually win, they're just kind of moving stuff around and doing stuff, is that you need to put your ships within distance 5 of your first drop. Step 1. And you need to put your ships so they're always facing, facing straight to the opponent's board edge. Don't tip your stuff around. Because that, I keep explaining to people that the minute that you tip your ship like that, you can't get back around easily in Armada, even with the one click. It's hard to get twisted back to if someone comes on your flank. And Jeff had that happen to him in the game that he played, where they just kind of swirled around each other and nobody got really effective shots. But if you're pointed straight at them, your potential cone of movement can always move to where they're going to be. And then I really harped after deployment, just moving your ships to where they will be, where your opponent will be, not where your opponent is, unless you're going to act first. And that's a really important thing about Armada, is that you need to move your ships so that they are guns pointing to where the opponent will be, not where they are. Because if you point where they are, then they're just going to move first and be not where you pointed.
Now, I think one of my biggest
version of it.
my biggest issue when I was thinking about deployment prior to that game is that I was thinking of deployment as a subterfuge to some degree, where you're trying to place the units that don't matter as much to see where to try to force your opponent to push the more pivotal units out before you get your big hitters out. And that is an incorrect way of thinking of things.
There's a time and place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you have the deployment advantage and you have a ship that can really kill something like Onager or Quads, then you're kind of waiting. But even then, the decision isn't, where could I possibly put my quad? It's, do I put my quad inside this ship, or do I put my quad outside of the ship? And it's still a distance 5 of something else.
Yeah.
So, you need your content tokens and everything else.
Well,
my fleet bombed well. The MC-75 still just is not tanky with Medivh on it. The black dice added up real fast, and I had to bail really early in that game. I don't know. It's hard to fly for sure, but I can see the damage potential of it, because the minute it gets its bombing run off and the double arc, it's gonna do a lot of damage. It's just, it's soft, and because it's soft, you can't play Capture the VIP because they know where you're gonna be, right? So you got to be wiggly. It's really fun to move the GR-75s double click because you're just Medivh, cool. So it definitely feels like how I imagine playing double dial commanders for the other factions feel.
Yeah. Just that extra click is so important.
It's good.
And then if you can just have a nav token too, it's like having a full command. And it's not too hard to send a nav token to a ship with some comms net shenanigans.
Well, with that, let us get into the topic for the day, and that is going to be the ships of the Republic. We're just going to go ahead and go through them in alphabetical order. I thought about going through by size, but really, I mean, it's just as easy to do one thing as the other. So first off, we've got the Acclimator 1.
Everyone. So I want to say this first. The Republic is a weird faction. I was just talking to Rob, Rob. I can't remember his last name. Anyways, he's a really good player up in Wisconsin, and they just had a tournament, and I think his breakdown was like, let's see here: 9 Rebel fleets, 7 Imperial, 4 CIS, no Gar, right? Which that's a pretty like good turnout for like a local store championship. What to say about Gar? Gar has a lot of tools that are incredible. Bail Organa Commander, Deltakin Fighter, Clone Navigation Officer, Sfat Tees. It's all really good stuff, but there's just something missing. Synergy-wise, I think it might be ion cannon slots, which we'll go through here on these ships. Like, if there was a way to have ion cannons on Gar ships, they would be top 8 competitive in like tournaments, like consistently.
I think you just have to think so much harder. You have to think like 33% harder than your opponent because you have all these timing things that you have to do, and all your things need to be near other things, and your ships don't turn that well. So if you're out of deployment, if you're out of position, and deployment is the hardest part of the game to begin with. So if you mess that up a little bit with Gar, you're really on the back foot.
Yeah, I'm just noticing how absolutely hideously ugly the turning is on the Acclimator.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
So Xantos, Damon, and then Eridus in France. You know, they like to fly Anakin with MSU. And I really do think that's the best competitive list. There's no shenanigans. It's just a bunch of ships. The only thing you have to keep track of is having 3 ships at distance 5 to use Anakin's commander ability. And then it's easier to fly. It has a lot of damage because all the other lists that we're going to talk about potentially, it's just so many things have to happen all the time to make anything work. You Lauren with fighter control teams, fighter coordination teams, a Venator with a squad ball that can be really slow or fast, but like 10 different squad balls, token generation shenanigans that if you miss 1 turn of tokens, your game's over. I don't know. They're just hard to fly. But anyways, we're getting in the Acclimator 1, which went down to points for the points update. Acclimators are weird. They're better ships than the Imperial Victories on paper, especially the Acclimator 2. The Acclimator 1's a weird ship. I think it only has one purpose. Fly it with Anakin Commander with boarding troopers, because it has 2 offensive slots.
Yep.
And an ordnance slot and turbo slot. So boarding troopers, you can set this thing up for flying fighters with expanded and boosted comms. And then with something like Yularen, you can push 5 with it, and then Navota B, give swarm to your bombers, the title Navota B. But if your ship gets caught, it is so screwed. It's got no defensive retrofit.
And even that 4 engineering won't save it.
You're not engineering though. You're squadron dialing, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's a weird shit because why would you ever fly this when you can just fly the Venator? I I know there's probably people out there who are like, oh, I can make it work, and I'm sure we can make it work at like your normal play time level in stores. But if I'm looking at this from like a really rigid competitive environment, it's hard to make the Acclimator 1 perform like something like the Quasar. One big advantage the Quasar has is it can turn. The Acclimator cannot turn without a nav command. It's got a horrendous
Turning's
chart.
really important.
A
Turns out.
horrendous chart. Yeah. It's wild because on paper the Quasar should be more squishy, but it's not because I can turn it in a way that's helpful. But the Acclimator has at speed 3 a dash in the middle. And if you're navigating instead of pushing squads with it, why did you bring the Acclimator 1? Which takes me back to my point at the beginning. It's a boarding trooper's bomb. You put no troops on it. It's a bomb. You load it up with explosives, throw it at the ship you want to blow up. It's gonna die too. Okay, it's dead. And then your C-70s clean up the field. Okay, I talked a lot. Your guys' turn. Acclimator 1.
I'm just still looking at that movement chart and thinking, man, I could not fly this ever.
It's hard.
I don't think you ever fly a medium with 2 shields on the side that doesn't have ECM. Like, it's just going to die. Patriot Fist will go, oh, 3 points? Don't. You're dead.
Yeah, and it's the reduced shields. It's got, 7 hull's not bad for a medium ship. But it's only 1 more than the Quasar. But the Quasar is not designed to fly into the fight. It's hanging back and starting away. Red dice and black dice with the ordnance slot, and like you said, boarding troopers on this. Like, it needs to be able to survive. It needs to be able to get into the fight at least 1 turn. And yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I've seen an Acclimator 1 in forever on the table.
Well, what about the Acclimator 2?
Someone else has to go first so they get all the good ideas out.
I don't know that I have any good ideas with this ship.
It's better.
Yeah. I mean, even the flak looks better to me, but I don't know. Double black, more damage. Blue black, a little bit more consistent and more range.
Who's going? Do you want me to start again? I can start again.
I'll jump in.
Okay, go, Nick, go.
So, yeah, I don't fly Republics, so I don't have any personal experience with Acclimator 2, but it fixes some of the problems. It fixes the defensive retrofit problem that the 1 has. It still has the issue of kind of like, why are you bringing this? Especially now that you have, like, the Victory Star Destroyer as an option for just a few more points. It has your ordnance, your turbo lasers. It has the dice for them. Yeah, you got your defensive. You got ECMs in there. You've only got a brace and redirect token though, so it's really not a lot of mitigation. You're bringing this just to kind of like assist in a kill, right? Like, I can't fit a second Venator. I'm bringing an Acclimator 2, but I don't know. I don't really see the point of bringing Acclimator 2 over Victory.
It's got that whole. It's got the triangle design that says you want to point it at your enemy, but it doesn't have the ability to be pointed at the enemy.
Okay, all right. So Acclimator 2, better. It's better. Okay, it's first off, we can put thermal shields on it. Chef's kiss. Okay, first step, that's nice. It has the bombard keyword. So now it's blue, black, flak, and LTTs. It's still fantastic. This is the ship that you put Admiral Anakin on in your MSU Republic fleet.
Yep.
Admiral Anakin, if you so wish, you can throw swivels on it, and swivels work great with your Assault Pronto Torpedo slot if you want. It has the weapons team, which is always good, right? So you can throw Ord experts on there. It has swell squadron value of 3. It's 71 points, so it's cheap. Blue, black, flak, again with LTTs, depending on how you want to build this thing. It's the better of the 2 all around.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a carrier at all. It's a gunboat. At least when you're flying the Acclimator 2, you can justify only nav dialing, which is the only way you can fly this, right? Navigate dials. So that's fine. And then, but it's combat ship, so now you have to have some sort of way to projection expert shields to it, because it is toast if you don't. It's also an okay. It has the implacable title, which is a little bit like Tranquility, where you can get shot in like the side and implacable the damage to your forefront shields. So that's nice. You can put that on the Acclimator 1 too if you wanted. Typically, it works best with the like a thermals Acclimator 2. But yeah, it's a lot better. Its front arc is pretty solid, right? 2 blacks, 3 reds, and a blue. It just suffers from, having a place outside of a Commander Anakin list. Because again, like the 29 points for a Venator 2 are well spent. And even, the victory is good too, and we'll talk about why it's really good. But it doesn't have a defensive slot, so I would feel much safer throwing Anakin on a thermal Acclimator 2 than I would a victory. But yeah, Acclimator 2s, they're a little bit better. We're in the right direction.
All right.
They still turn like dog turd, though.
Yeah.
Well, next up, let's look at the Consular class armed cruiser. And this is one of their few smalls, correct?
Well, they got 4 smalls.
Mm.
All right, Reuben, you have to talk about the Consular, blue beam, double
This is
blue
the
flag.
black one.
Yeah, no, it's double blue flag. Double blue.
Okay. So, double blue flag, and it's the blue-black version, and it's got a redirect, an evade, and a contain, right? So it's like a hammerhead, except it flaks better, basically. Well, you can power your Anakin fleet by doing other stuff with this. You can... Does it have ordnance on it?
Listen, it's got ordnance, a defensive retrofit,
Okay.
fleet support,
Okay.
and an officer slot. And also, I'm sorry, support team. I always want those two, support team.
Okay.
But its most redeeming quality is the 2 titles. Radiant 7, which adds fleet support. You can put on it. And then, but if you do that, you can't equip ordnance, so no X-Rax. And then Swift Return is the other title, the one that lets you.
I think Swift Return's better on the red.
I do too. Yeah.
Personally. Now this one, if it 2 flaks, it can bring Ruthless. You could play it as like a flak boat. You can also put clusters on it if you really want to get those squadrons that try to bomb. It'd be pretty funny. I've seen people talk about bringing multiple sets of clusters in
Cluster
MSU.
bombs.
Yeah, just to tell the squads to go away that one time.
Yep.
The ship is. There's not a general design space in Armada for blue-black small ships. You either want to be all black and super cheap, or red and far away from them, unless you have redundant defensive tokens, specifically double evade. Because pretty much all the smalls you see in the game are double evade or evade scatter.
I feel like this ship wants an ion slot.
They all want ion slot.
Well, fair, but
yeah,
but more than other things, this really feels like to be useful.
I think it would definitely have a cool place if it had an ion slot. Like, be the Overlord pulse target, right? The one that shoots first. I think this ship isn't necessarily like statistically bad. It's just like the Hammerhead, where in a game where pretty much everything is determined by killing your opponent's stuff, if you have these softer smalls that don't have the double evades and they're not at long range, you have to trade up with them. And in games of Armada, trading up isn't what you want to do, because you just want to kill them and not die, because that's how you get a better point differential. That's why I don't play Hammerheads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just left speechless because there's
So
not
much
really.
excitement for it.
Yeah, this
There's just not much to say. Yeah.
this ship
yes.
is.
I will say, okay, here's where it shines. It's a great mercy mission.
I was gonna say mercy mission is what you do with it, really.
Yeah. So here's how I like to fly. Here's my recommendation. When you can't afford a Pelta, or your Peltas are dying because they're too slow, slap Radiant 7 on this bad boy. Slap parts resupply, comms net, munitions resupply, whatever you need. And then slap Clone Navigation Officer on it. All of a sudden, this thing's pushing so many damn tokens, you won't know what to do with them. And you need tokens because you're Gar, right? That's what it does. It's a mini fleet support ship. Don't let it get shot at. Okay, it's like a hammerhead. Fly this bad boy at speed 3, nabbing the whole time, and then fly, and then send tokens.
I do love that double blue flak though.
It catches people by surprise.
Yeah.
So often, because they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm about to throw 4 blue dice at you because you're double arced." Enjoy.
Oh.
That'll hurt.
So, what about the Charger?
Okay, the Charger. This one. I love this one. This one's awesome. Now we're back to Commander Anakin's ships, and I just like having one of these in my fleet. I spent years without flying the C-70s. I didn't like them compared to like the Peltas and stuff. But the C-70 Charger, all right, it's put swift return on this thing, fly at distance 1 to 2 of obstacles. Now you can fire dial, and then with swift return's title, it lets you change your speed or a yaw. And now you can fly like a CR-90, which is fantastic. You get the nav chart of a CR-90 almost at that point, and you can fire dial. It's got 2 reds at the side, 2 reds and a blue in front, black flak, which is always great. Its loadout is officer, support team, turbo laser, and offensive. This is really cool. First off, turbos, all sorts of options. I like to put enhanced armament on this thing and clone Captain Zack and fire dial. At that point, I'm throwing 5 reds out my side. If you combine this with an Anakin, you can re-roll all of those at the expense of another crappy contain on another C-70 somewhere. You put a couple of these in your fleet, and you can start feeling like an Akbar player. Cosplaying is one with a slightly weaker system.
I've got to step away for just a second. You guys keep the conversation going.
Sure thing, Chris. So the only thing that hurts it is evade, redirect, contain. So they're not nearly as survivable when they get shot at.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really scary when you start taking hits as a C-70 because you're just like, oh my gosh. Oh,
You
geez.
shot me with that swift return that one game we played a while back, and I was like, oh, ow.
Mhm.
Oh, wait a minute. This wasn't supposed to shoot this hard.
Yeah, it was doing more damage than my main battleships, which was shocking. Usually my reds, I was rolling pretty good reds. Reds usually aren't that great, which is why you need Anakin usually with these to reroll your reds, because they're not always going to roll a couple doubles in there.
Yeah, that painbow really hurts a lot of your ships with the 2 reds, 2 blues, 2 blacks. It makes your damage pretty good at medium to long range.
But yeah,
You need to play the Anakin stuff because I just haven't seen it. You keep talking about this stuff, and you're playing this Trench 134 meta stuff.
The dopamine, all right, I get from flying from CIS Providence
From your
is
spider.
too good. I can't.
You and your
It's so
click-clack.
like it's so fun. I can't explain the joy of flying a Providence around the board. It's so good. I don't know what it is. It's
a
very
damn
satisfying.
good ship.
Guys.
It does
Yeah,
everything that you needed to do. Yeah.
It's great. I got pretty burnt on Gar. Flying Gar is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's
had to do
taxing.
so
It's taxing.
Taxing.
You lose a lot. All right.
Mhm.
I
you
did
look
twice.
good while doing it.
Yeah. I always think it's really funny how on the secondary market, right, vendors are like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and I'm like, oh man, they don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
They're
they're beautiful
$100 on the
ships.
shelf. Yeah, the paint job is really good. The open circle fleet,
Yeah.
really nice. Can you engine text a C-70?
Yeah, you can.
Yep.
Okay. And does Swift Return have a condition on it where you can
It just
can't
says
engine text and get the extra click?
during the determined course step.
Okay, can you hear me now?
That's it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't, because engine text, if we look at the card, after you execute maneuver in which you did not overlap a ship, you may exhaust this card to execute a speed 1 maneuver. So, like, you could just add an extra click potentially. Yeah, you
So
could.
you already 2 clicks at the first.
But at the consular is already double click at speed 1, so it doesn't do anything.
That's good. That's very good.
But yeah, it's a neat little ship.
All right.
It's there. It's not as good as a CR90, which I hate, but it's got a pretty forgiving front arc. And so, but that's CR90s usually kind of suck sometimes because you're sometimes only shooting from the side arc, and the C70 you can get 2 really good shots if you have somebody double arced.
And the CR90 is so dependent on turbo laser reroute circuits that its double arc is not going to do that much.
Right.
Especially now that you can't put LTTs on it and get 2 rerolls if you weren't doing ACBAR stuff. Because now that the LTTs won't do anything, so you got really no way to actually fix a double arcing CR90. Interesting. That's an issue.
Well, up next we've got the Pelta class medical frigate.
All right. Peltas are great. Who's taking Pelta medical? I nominate Nick.
I can do it. So the medical frigate, we've got 1 blue flak, 2 reds out the front with a blue, 1 red out the side with a blue, and then 2 red in your rear. Let me see. Is the medical frigate the one you take? No, it's the other one.
It's usually the transfer.
It's yeah. Okay. So the medical frigate, I don't know. I don't know if I see them a lot. Peltas always work as your squad pushers and your production experts ship. I don't know. I don't have a lot of opinions, Garrett, because I don't fly them. We've got an officer support team, a fleet support, and an offensive retrofit. Yeah, they're tanky little smalls.
Yeah. All right. Pelta medical. It's got an offensive slot. It can be a carrier. It's an okay carrier. It's cool because it can take stuff like parts resupply and protection experts and also have an offensive slot. It also shoots mildly better. This ship I typically see in Pelta swarms, where you have 2 medicals and then 2 transports. And when you combine these 4 ships, it then turns into a little running engine of healing each other, and then they all shoot like crap. But if all 4 of them get to shoot like crap, you're now shooting okay. Right?
And then you're bombing with arcs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you take your ships. You can also put FCT on a couple of them, right? And now you're annoyingly pushing around with Admiral Yularen, okay, because they spend token, activate extra squad, right? Now with Yularen, Arcs, and Ahsoka, and fighter coordination team, now you move your Pelta, you move Ahsoka, she triggers her ability. The next medical Pelta moves, triggers Ahsoka, blah, blah, blah. And then you can heal the other Peltas that are getting shot at with the Peltas not getting shot at, right? It's a slow-moving brick, but quite effective. Was it?
I can't stand things that move that slow.
Yeah, it's a different type of play. I'm trying to remember. If you go on Ion Radio's YouTube and Worlds last year during the Last Chance qualifier, you can watch. I'm gonna say Andrew Zog, I think is his name on Discord. Play his Yularen Pelta fleet beautifully. Executes it wonderfully. That's a really cool fleet. Church of Yularen, as Mercier likes to say. So they're pretty good. But, however, the Pelta transport is way better.
Which we have called up now.
45 points. Blue-black flag, which is fantastic. You get a couple of these, and then like a Venator in a zone that enemy squadrons are in, you're going to tear them to shreds.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So these things, projection experts, parts resupply. Projection experts, parts resupply. People hate it. They've also got these titles. TB73 lets you add an evade token to one of these. A Pelta that's being projection experts to from another Pelta, and that Pelta has 2 evades, a brace, and a redirect, is damn near impossible to kill. It can be, you put expert shields text, you bring Luminara, projection experts, parts resupply, TB73, an enemy could just be shooting this thing for days. And like all you're doing is just trading damage for healing. The only downside is the pelts are slow, which really slows down Republic gameplay, which puts the bigger ships, like the Venator and Acclimator, in real danger. And I've been moving away from peltas and then flying C-70s instead, because everybody I play against has figured out, what's happening. And so I can't fly slow anymore because I just die.
Yeah.
So I've had to move on. But peltas are just amazing. What you can load up on them. Yeah, and you can fly.
I feel like it takes a lot of patience to be able to fly peltas.
Yeah, like if you don't deploy your pelta in the right spot, you're in so much trouble. Because you either have to slow down everybody for it to catch up, or not. The mental gameplay of flying arcs, which are speed 2, with your peltas that are speed 2, and then playing this hopscotch game of fighter coordination team, move the peltas, activating them in the right order, projection experts to the right one, not activation locking yourself, making sure all your tokens are passed out for Yularen. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
I wish that the Rebel Pelta looked at its older brother and said, I want to be points like you. And then I could actually fly him.
Yeah.
Because at 45 points for a brace, redirect, evade, 3 shield, 5 hull, 2 shield side ship that has 3 dice out of the front, 2 out of the sides, is so damn efficient. It drives me insane every time I look at it, and I look at my peltas on the shelf with their fleet commands that they're overcosted for. It just irritates me because I love these workhorse smalls like the Gladiator and the Pelta that have brace, redirect, evade, solid shields, and they're actually cheap enough where if they die, they actually probably trade it up, which the medium ships are too expensive, and that's why you don't see them a lot. They're very specialized.
Okay. Well, next up, we've got the Venator 1.
Awesome. This ties in perfectly to what I was about to say. So one of my favorite fleets is you take 4 of these peltas, 2 peltas, medicals, 2 transports, and a Venator 1 with intensified firepower. Now, all of a sudden, your peltas don't shoot like crap, which is really funny. And you keep the Venator 1 in the back of the field so it doesn't get shot at, right? And then you just take your block of peltas and march them forward in an unrelenting advance of flak and projection experts and Luminara and expert shield techs, and then you just crash against it like a wave on a cliff. Yeah, not the most exciting gameplay, but it'll get you like a 6 or 7 pretty consistently. But the Venator 1, uh, the ship is cool because it's got a fleet command, but then it's the monkey paw. It has no defensive retrofit. Ugh.
Almost perfect.
It makes this thing for a not a very good navigator like myself very hard to fly and not die. You could slap tranquility on it, right? Which is pretty good, right? And projection experts to it, a lot of that work. Or you could just bring the Venator 2, I guess, right? It depends on like how badly you want to do this intensify firepower thing. Like if it's really important to whatever the heck's going on.
It really doesn't want to fly at speed 3, though, does it?
Not unless you have a nav command. It's 90 points, super cheap. It's got a double blue flak, pretty cool, right? It can take weapons teams, so that's good. This ship, typically, I see it spatting, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can get this ship to its destination alive and can get a close range front shot and a spat side shot, you're going to kill something pretty reliably. That's a lot of damage. 5 blues and a black, and then 3 reds and 3 blacks out the front. Toss in some X-Racks for a couple more black dice. Toss in XX9s, something cheap in its turbo slot. Pretty good. Or
I'm just gonna throw out an interesting question for you. Do you think SFATs is the reason why the Republic ships don't have turbo laser slots?
I think it's a combination of Obi-Wan Kenobi and SFATs. Yes. And the reason I say Obi-Wan Kenobi is because
one and PDIC.
The PDIC's ESE Obi-Wan combo would be really annoying. Other than that, I think the actual intent was they were trying to create a unique faction identity without using ion cannon slots. And maybe who knows, like what plans were like on the drawing board, right? Like the Architans maybe was going to have an ion cannon slot. The Garkitans, if that was ever planned, I don't know, right? I
just think it's the pain boats, really, because if you look at both CIS and GAR, their distribution of dice colors means that they get stronger as you're closer to the enemy, whereas Rebels and Empire, a lot of their pools are split, so it's all of this, all of another thing. So they're much more like, okay, I'm in this band, my damage is efficient. Whereas GAR is like, okay, I need to go from, like, I don't really do anything at long. I'll spit 2 reds at you. Okay, my real damage comes from being close to you, but I can't fix both of the dice as effectively.
Gotcha.
They put the fleet command on a ship that you can't ECM, knowing full well that you need ECMs, like you need a defensive retrofit to play large. So, don't know why they did that one. But, man, they do that to fleet commands a lot across the faction.
Yeah, I feel like, there must have been some huge overestimation of Kenobi's ability. And I don't know, I guess I could ask some of the playtesters if at some point Kenobi was allowed to be used on exhausted redirect tokens or something. And so that like overtuned everything, because all of a sudden if Kenobi can, spend twice in a row with expert shield techs, that's 4 damage down, which is the same as having a defensive retrofit essentially. Maybe I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, Venator 1 has got its uses, especially when combined with our last ship. But we still have, the Venator 2
We
is
still
next,
have
right?
Venator 2 next, yeah. Yeah, that's what we got up now.
My sweet beloved.
This is a carrier.
This ship
This
is so good.
This ship is everything.
This is whatever you can dream it to be, Chris. This is
This
beautiful.
is what I want my MC80s to be.
Yes.
So
And it has the second best title in the game because Jane is Light is the first best title. Tranquility, Tranquility combined with thermal shields is astonishingly satisfying. People hate it, but it's so good. Let's talk about this. It's got an officer slot. It's got a weapons team slot. It's got an offensive slot, defensive slot, ordnance slot, and a turbo slot. It's got all the slots, everything you want. There's nothing left out except for fleet command. Whatever. No ion. Yeah. We bashed that horse. All right.
that's not a slot that we care about.
It has blue-black flak. It has 9 hull, which is not bad. All right. It has a whopping value squadron of 5. This thing can push, like, in the right situations, 6, 7 squadrons. 8 with you, Lauren. 8 squadrons. If you have expanded on this thing, hello. That's like more squads than you can fit because they're so expensive, right? It's got 4 shields on the front, 3 left and right. It's got pain bow in the front, reds and blues on the left and right, pain bow in the back. Oh my gosh, yeah. So you can build it to be a super carrier. You can build it to be a SFAT tank. You can build this thing to be a boarding trooper ship. You can build this thing to be a close range brawler. Because you can put expanded launchers on this thing now at 8 points. Expanded launchers, thermal shields. You can still put the original Link turbo laser towers on there because it's got bombard. You can put Ord experts on this thing, combine it with your expanded launchers, thermals. You could slap on hardened bulkheads. You could slap on clone Captain Silver, who lets you speed up, slow down, and then slap a couple peltas in the rear with projection experts. And this thing can tank really good with Tranquility, especially versus Imperial ships. Its biggest issue is Patron's Fist, and Akbar is like this thing's Achilles heel. Because those two specific things just shred thermal shield defenses. Tranquility helps a lot though, just an unbearable amount. And this ship can be combined with Yularen, Bail Organa, who's my favorite, Luminara. You could put Obi-Wan Kenobi with expert shields techs on this thing now, and add to the tankiness up close fights. Yeah.
I don't think anybody else has anything else to add. That kind of covers it all.
I feel bad like taking everything. I'm sorry.
No. You are our Republic player, so you're going to have more to say on this than any of us are, and especially me. I have never actually fielded anything Republic, so
I wish I was
flag
better.
bridge this thing. Flag bridge this guy to have mercy mission.
Yes.
Like I love this ship. This ship, its squadron value makes me jealous because it's not fair. My squadrons are not that much better than Gar's squadron. Why am I locked in Squad 3 jail? It's not fair. Somebody write a petition. 3 rebel squads. I want to push 5 or more. I want to push 8. Let me push 8 X-Wing. Let me say lock S foils in attack position and just go out. Like, we only go speed 3. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. So let me push and bang squads around here. Because if I give me the rebel victory to Venator 2 instead of the Imperials. They shouldn't get one. We should have got one.
Or both.
But it says
right?
Star Destroyer.
Give me Give me rebel this ship and give me Phoenix home so I can have a Venator 2 and a Quasar 2 in Rebels with some flotillas. And let me push like a bajillion squadrons and just kill people. Come on.
do you have enough squadron points to be able to do that?
That'd be pretty
I
hard.
don't know what to find out.
But yeah, if you want to be really annoying in your local community, take 2 Peltas with parts resupply and protection experts, 1 Venator 2, and then a bunch of Y-Wings with Deltakin. Throw Luminara on the Venator, and just go to town. It'll be really hard to kill you with Tranquility, Expert Shields, Tex, and Luminara.
Let's finish this up with the victory here.
V is for victory.
Hmm.
Now, how does this compare with the Imperial victory?
Better.
It's
a lot
better.
better.
It's better, and I'm jealous.
Yeah, so Vic 1, it's got 8 hull. All right. It's got a brace redirect salvo. Already better than the Imperial victory. Pretty awesome. But what's even more interesting is its upgrade slot. Officer, weapons team, a native support team for engine techs or auxiliary shield teams. And offensive slot, and then 2 ordnance slots. So this thing is best used in multiples. So Texas Honey Badger drew his pizza party fleet with like 3 of these and a Ven 1 with intensified firepower, and everything has fats. Is just a wall of dice.
Yeah.
Right, like you can try and kill one of the victories, but like they're coming for you. And they got IF, which is disgusting. I think he had X-Rax on him too, and Tarkin, obviously. I think was what he was flying. I could be wrong. I think he's made a couple versions, but that's how you get your common fire tokens.
That just sounds like fun.
Yeah,
it's like, it does.
Yeah, it's scary.
really, what's it called? A lot less stress to fly, right? It's just like pure ship. Because Drew hates squadron play a lot. He likes the big ships, which is awesome. And that's exactly what this is. It's just a wall of victory ones with fast on the front. Every time I try and fly one, I try and like fit it into like these synergized fleets. Sometimes I try to put one in with Anakin, or like as part of a ship of the line with everything else. But it's just a target for everyone to punch, and it falls apart pretty fast.
It doesn't turn as well as the Imperial victory. Is that correct?
I think it's exactly the same.
Exactly
right?
the same.
Yeah. I thought for some reason at speed 2 the Imperial victory had 1 yaw on both clicks.
No, but you're
sucks.
forgiven for thinking it might have something like that. You have to take the hero. That's why the Imperials. You take the hero title to give yourself an extra click when you're going speed 1.
Yeah.
And engine text. So yeah, it's the Vic 1 is just it's a mess.
Yeah, this poor ship. It's so funny. Some ships that are speed 2, like the largest that are speed 2, they don't feel as slow.
Yeah,
the length of the
they got big
base,
noses.
Yeah, the length of the base actually helps a lot, in my opinion. Yeah. But the Victory is a medium ship, and at speed 2, man, do they just crawl across the board. Which is why SFATs are good for it, because it can reach out and touch you, like AT&T, right?
I think the Victory with double ordnance, anything with double ordnance, now that expanded launchers is actually worth taking. Like, all of these ships, give them a second look, because now that you can like expanded and crit or expanded and X-Rax, if you have the you have your weapons team slot to give your ordnance expert. These ships can do a ton of damage in 1 turn now. Like it's way more than it used to be. Like just the first shot and you nose and then you dump your X-Rax and you're adding 4 blacks to an attack with 2 rerolls. You do a ton of damage.
which brings me back to it's a bomb. All right. Boarding troopers, engine techs, expanded launchers, X-Frags.
How many squads is it though? What's
3.
it gonna? Oh, it's gonna board him for 3. Ooh.
Yeah, so it's
Oh, no.
it's good. All right, so take this bad boy. All right, park it next to whatever you want to kill. Proceed to throw 7 black dice out the front with expanded and X-Frax, the 3 reds, right, and see what happens. Right, bring it in an Anakin fleet so you can re-roll them. All right. And yeah, so take a Vic 1. It's gonna die. Okay, just accept that. Bring a Vic 1. 3 C-70s. Circle like a bunch of sharks ready to scavenge. And have Anakin on board somewhere out of danger. And have fun. Yes. It's a bomb. It's a I don't know. I actually think the Acclimator 1's still the better bomb because it's cheaper. But
yeah, it's more bang for your buck.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said,
Although,
multiples. It's Svats.
Yeah, Svats is where I think that shines in my opinion anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I think we're about out of time here, so we won't really get into. We've kind of touched on some of the builds that you see with this. We haven't really gone deep into it.
I feel like we went pretty deep.
Yeah, no. Okay, fair enough. I guess we didn't just focus on builds. We just talked about the builds that these ships fit into, which is really the way that you want to look at it anyway. So
yeah.
But next time around, I promise, guys, I will have the graphics ready. We will do the generic officers.
Gonna be a big F rank.
Yeah. We're gonna kind of collapse those into one big toilet bowl and flush it at the same time because that's what F is for, right?
Unless you live in a Slicer Tools meta for some reason.
Sure.
So I want to thank you guys again for being on the show, and I will apologize that we didn't have any kind of feedback because we had to record rather than stream, but we do what we can here, and thank you for doing this on short notice.
One last thing. My what was I gonna say? Oh, my obstacles are now up for sale. The tater thin obstacles. We've been playing with them locally, and I've sent them out to I think about 5 events now.
And you'll be able to see those on the stream. So they definitely make maneuvering easier.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy how thick the cardboard is. After you like place a ship on one of these, it's like, oh my gosh, because like the ships like elevate like up in the air when they land on a cardboard obstacle. I could never play on the cardboard ones again, unless I'm like forced to by gunpoint at a tournament. And my opponent's like, please, we have to play cardboard. I'm like, okay, that's fair.
The rule book says you can only use provided components, and you go, okay.
And I'm gonna say, what rule book? What company?
What company?
Got him.
Well, guys, I am going to say thank you with that, and I hope you have a good night.
All right, you too, Chris. Bye.
Well, you too.
Bye, everybody.
See you.
All right, so thank you again for tuning into the show. I appreciate you guys watching. I want to remind you that we will be doing Thursday Night Armada on the stream on Thursday on Twitch. I apologize if this wasn't streamed. Again, we had some schedule conflicts. At this point, it was actually my work schedule that kind of interfered with us doing the normal Monday show. But hopefully we'll be back in 2 weeks with the regular Monday show, and you guys can throw all the comments that you want on these generic officers that we will be talking about. Also want to remind you that I am hoping to have a stream on Saturday from Tip City at Thunderforge Games as we play some Armada there, and a tournament that 3-round tournament be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to going out there, even if we don't get to stream. We'll have some news about that the next time we do a show. But I also want to remind you that we do have the contest going on. This is not named this show. This show is going to still be the After Action Report. However, Thursday Night Armada, with the way the production schedule turns out, doesn't always end up on YouTube on Thursdays. So kind of wanted to change the name, give it something a little bit more broad-based so that it's not stuck on the actual name there. So with that, we will bid you good night. I hope you have a great day and take care of yourself.